One narrow strip of water. Just 33 km wide at its tightest point. Through it flows 20% of all the oil on Earth. Every supertanker carrying fuel to Europe, Asia, and America passes right through here. Iran closed it. And the global economy has been bleeding ever since. Oil prices spiked. Shipping costs exploded. Your gas prices, your grocery bills, the cost of everything that moves by ship, all of it went up because of this one choke point. And right now, as you are watching this, the United States and Iran are sitting across a negotiating table, trying to agree on a deal that would reopen it. A deal that would also determine whether Iran gets a nuclear weapon. Or gets bombed into the Stone Age trying. This is not just a story about two countries. This is a story about the global economy, the Middle East map, and a question that has haunted the world for 20 years. Will Iran go nuclear? And what will America do to stop it? To understand where we are right now, you need to know how we got here. Because the road to this negotiating table runs through war, explosions, and one of the most dramatic military strikes of the 21st century. Most people don't realize this. But the United States already went to war with Iran. In June 2025. On June 22, 2025, at 2:10 in the morning local time, U.S. Air Force bombers and Navy strike aircraft hit three of Iran's most critical nuclear facilities. Fordow, Natanz, Isfahan. The three pillars of Iran's nuclear program. Iran's retaliation was immediate. It launched missile strikes on Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, America's largest military base in the Middle East. And then it did something that shook the entire global economy. It closed the Strait of Hormuz. And planted mines across it. For the first time in modern history, the world's most critical oil shipping lane was shut down by force. Khamenei died during this period. Iran's supreme leader, the man who had guided the Islamic Republic for 35 years. His son was appointed as successor. A regime under pressure, with new leadership, now facing a war it could not win outright. Trump issued ultimatums. Deadlines. March 21, March 23, April 7. Each deadline passed. Each time, a last-minute intervention delayed the next strike. Finally, Pakistan stepped in. On April 8, 2026, Pakistan arranged a conditional 2-week ceasefire. Since extended. A fragile, imperfect, nervous pause in a war that neither side could fully win. Iran too damaged to fight on. America unwilling to commit to a full ground war. Both sides exhausted. Both sides talking. And sitting between them mediators from Oman and Pakistan carrying messages back and forth, trying to build a deal before the ceasefire collapses again. That is where we are today. On the knife's edge between a historic deal and a return to war. So what exactly is on the negotiating table? Let's break it down because the details matter enormously. The current proposal is a 60-day memorandum of understanding. Not a full peace deal. Not a permanent nuclear agreement. A ceasefire extension with conditions. First, the U.S. lifts its blockade on Iranian ports. Iran can ship oil again. For an economy that has been strangled by sanctions and a naval blockade, this is oxygen. Second, some sanctions waivers. Frozen Iranian assets overseas begin to unfreeze. Money Iran has been unable to touch for years starts moving again. Third, the Strait of Hormuz reopens. Iran removes the mines it planted. Shipping resumes. Global oil prices fall. Now here is what America demands in return. And this is where it gets complicated. Specifically, Iran must commit to disposing of its stockpile of highly enriched uranium. The uranium it has already produced that is close to weapons grade. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent made it explicit, and here is the problem. Iran has publicly denied agreeing to hand over its uranium stockpile. An Iranian source told Reuters directly the nuclear issue is not part of the preliminary agreement. Iran's foreign ministry delivered the most perfect diplomatic summary of where things stand today. Let's zoom out. Because this deal is not just about the US and Iran. If it succeeds or fails, the consequences spread across the entire map. Start with Israel. Israel has the most to lose from any deal that leaves Iran with nuclear infrastructure intact. Israeli intelligence has reportedly concluded that Iran's program has not been destroyed, only delayed. Every day Iran keeps enriching uranium even at lower levels is a day Israel calculates the clock is ticking. Jerusalem is watching these negotiations with alarm. Then there is Saudi Arabia. The Saudis and Iran are regional rivals competing for dominance across the entire Middle East. A deal that rehabilitates Iran economically and removes the military pressure changes the regional balance of power dramatically. Moscow has offered to take Iran's enriched uranium as part of any settlement. This is not generosity, this is strategy. If Russia stores Iran's uranium, it becomes an essential player in any future deal. It inserts itself into the center of the agreement. China has published a 5-point peace plan supporting the talks. Beijing wants the Strait of Hormuz open because 40% of China's oil imports pass through it. China has more economic stake in this waterway than almost any other country on Earth. And the global economy. Since the strait closed, oil prices spiked, shipping costs exploded, inflation ticked upward across dozens of countries. A deal that reopens the strait permanently would be one of the economic events of the decade. The Dow Jones jumped 0.5% on a single day in late May just on the news of a tentative ceasefire extension. Markets are pricing in a deal. The world's financial system is watching this negotiating table like never before. But here is the critical question nobody can answer right now. Will this deal actually happen? And even if it does, will it hold? The honest answer right now in June 2026 is that nobody knows. Vice President J.D. Vance said the two sides are very close but not there yet. Secretary of State Rubio said an announcement could come at any moment. Then Trump said he needed to make a final determination in a Situation Room meeting. The deal has been almost signed at least 3 times in the past 2 weeks. Each time something slipped. A disputed term. An Iranian denial. A Trump redline hardening. The deal has been almost signed at least 3 times in the past 2 weeks. Each time something slipped. A disputed term. An Iranian denial. A Trump redline hardening. The uranium stockpile remains the core problem. The U.S. says Iran must hand it over. Iran says it has not agreed to that. Both cannot be right. And beneath the negotiations, a deeper question. Even if a 60-day memorandum is signed, it is not a final deal. It is just 60 more days of talking. 60 more days of a fragile ceasefire. 60 more days before the next deadline. The 2015 nuclear deal the JCPOA took years to negotiate, was signed with great ceremony, and then Trump tore it up in 2018. The lesson of history is that Iranian nuclear deals are extraordinarily difficult to make and even harder to keep. But the alternative, a return to war, a permanently closed Strait of Hormuz, and an Iran that keeps enriching uranium toward a bomb, that alternative is worse for everyone. Which is why the world is watching. Which is why markets are moving. Which is why this negotiating table in a hotel room in Muscat or Islamabad may be the most important room on earth right now. Do you think Trump will sign this deal or walk away the moment Iran refuses to surrender its enriched uranium? And if the deal collapses, what happens next? Another round of strikes? A nuclear Iran? Or a new kind of war nobody has planned for? Drop your answer in the comments. We read every single one. Before you go, if this breakdown gave you something the mainstream news didn't, do one thing right now. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Every week on Crisis Wealth we map the crises shaping your world, and if you want the conversation to continue, join us on Facebook. Search Crisis Wealth and follow the page. The link is right there in the description. This is Crisis Wealth, and you need to know what is coming.